Welcome back to Cody in the Cinema, and today I'm going to be reviewing Furiosa, a Mad Max saga starring Chris Hemsworth and Anya-Taylor Joy. A fun, good, a little rough starting science fiction action movie that I do recommend you see, especially in theaters, and don't wait to rent it at home. So if you're unfamiliar with the premise of this world, this is an apocalyptic science fiction world in some ways, and this young girl who was Furiosa was in the first Mad Max Fury Road picture, played by Charlize Theron, but she's yanked from her home, which is a place of green abundance, and she ends up in the hands of this biker gang led by Chris Hemsworth, who dials in a pretty good performance here. Is sort of a reluctant joy of evil and not, I couldn't tell through the whole time how much he liked being a bad guy. I liked that. That was good. It was nuanced. It was fresh. Really surprised by his performance in that. I was expecting something less, quite frankly, and he did a really good job. And I did say that despite a slow start, I like this picture and I do recommend seeing it. There are 5 chapters. In the first chapter, where Anya's character is young, not played by that actress, there's something that happens with her mother that leads the inciting event of the action, and that wasn't super convincing. I'm supposed to care a lot more about this relationship with her and her mother and what happens with that and how that relates to her odyssey home, so to speak, and that just didn't land for me at all. However, the first chapter does do a good job of setting up the world building, the story, the vehicles, all the things you associate with Mad Max. But by about the 3rd chapter, I was really into what this world had to offer, especially since Anya-Taylor Joy finally gets to come on screen after a pretty long wait. A real misstep, in my opinion, by the director and the screenwriters. But there is a scene right around that 3rd chapter where one of the convoys is trying to deliver goods or holds goods, and in this wasteland, even some cabbages are a pretty big deal, right? And it's transporting these goods, and like the way that these different parties are attacking the convoy, and some of them parachuting, some of them riding alongside. Anya-Taylor Joy is like hanging on the bottom of the truck, and she's fighting off enemies, and then sometimes she has to rebalance and readjust. It's breathtaking stuff. To me, it was almost like Buster Keaton-esque, and that part for me landed totally. Anytime that the vehicles were crashing into each other or characters were shooting at each other off vehicles, anything like that was the best part of this movie. So if you've seen Mad Max, you'll know what I'm talking about with the vehicle combat and so forth. To me, that part of the movie, I think about being a little kid when I would have like a plastic tank, and then I would have like a little airplane, and then I might have like a Batmobile and a Spider-Mobile, and maybe I have a Star Wars TIE Fighter or X-Wing, and all these things just crash into each other, and like action figures go flying. The movie has that like little kid in a sandbox quality, but with a more mature tone for adults. So I think people that enjoy that like almost like comic book aspect of the first movie are really going to enjoy it. And Anya-Taylor Joy, I can't say enough about how good of a job she did with very little to work with. In fact, I think part of the emotional payoff you get as she goes through her journey and some of her revenge journey, that's almost all on her acting. I don't know how much the script gave her there to work with, but really, to be honest, the plot does not matter much. It's more about these giant machines crashing into each other, watching different ways that explosions are created and timed. It's more of that kind of a movie, okay? You probably, if you're watching a lot of kung fu movies, you don't care about the plot maybe as much as the fighting. The same thing's true here. But it's not brainless either. And I do think that the actors gave their all. I just wish that the script gave them more to work with. It is a good movie visually, usually. I think it does a good job of creating a believable, unique, fun, engaging, scary wasteland. And I'm all for that. There are moments of the CGI that are embarrassingly bad, as they often are in new movies. And then I have a feeling that when Lord of the Rings re-releases and we see people look at what a good example of practical effects plus CGI can be, even from however many years ago it's been now, I think that this film being alongside of those, I think they're going to really notice that in some parts, but it still does a better job with the CGI than a lot of movies. That could have been better. I love how off the wall and creative and unafraid to take chances these movies are. I mean, sometimes I look at it and I can't believe that like two premier actors, Hemsworth and Taylor-Joy would be involved with something like this. This doesn't feel like something Hollywood would greenlight very often. So I do recommend you see it. I did like it. I just think you need to be ready for a slow start because, like I said, that first chapter is not that great as the rest of it is. But have you seen the picture? Do you plan to see it? Did you see Fury Road? Do you agree with my assessments? Maybe you liked it a little better. Maybe you liked it a little less. Let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on my channel.